The scale of how many of these young men, nearly all young men, waiting to come across from northern France in the towns and the areas around Calais, it's extraordinary. You saw then thousands and thousands of them milling around, many of them living in these tent cities underneath the trees back from the beaches. Clearly the police just sort of monitoring them and letting them go to the beaches and then get on the boats. I think the picture we've got going on here is that the police are kind of basically helping to wave goodbye to their migrants so we can look after them, as we always suspected. Anyway, so I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott, and let's talk about these extraordinary stories that hit the press over the weekend, Isabel. Both the Sun and the Mail on Sunday doing enormous investigations into the crime wave that is unfolding before our very eyes, thanks to all these asylum seekers all over the country, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. An investigation by the Mail on Sunday revealed that at least 312 asylum seekers have been charged with 708 alleged criminal offences in 3 years. These statistics centre on only 70 of the 220 hotels currently accommodating migrants. But these numbers include 18 charges of rape, 5 of attempted rape and 35 of sexual assault. Meanwhile, on Friday, a small boater was sentenced to 14 months in prison for sexually assaulting an extremely vulnerable teenage girl with learning difficulties in a London park in broad daylight. This Eritrean guy, name of Aaron Hadshish, came to the UK illegally on a small boat 3 years ago and was living in a migrant hotel near Heathrow. And he apparently found his victim's distress as he pinned her to the ground in broad daylight extremely funny. There he was laughing his head off, apparently. Well, he won't be laughing now. He's got 14 months, which, by the way, is significantly less than Lucy Connolly got for posting hurty words on Twitter during last summer's riots. Something wrong there. But we have a picture here of more and more of these migrants, not only being charged with serious crimes, but the tinderbox, the powder keg, is more and more of them are being charged with sex crimes, with rape, with sexual assault, sexual harassment, and that is a recipe for disaster, because as in Epping, when local communities find out that the asylum seekers who've been foisted upon them are being charged with sex crimes, it's incendiary. It is incendiary. That's what's happening in Epping, and it will happen elsewhere. This is out of control, isn't it?
And I think there's an awful lot of secrecy surrounding what is really going on. It takes a lot of hard work, actually, as a journalist to uncover just how many crimes are being committed by asylum seekers, because the data inexplicably isn't collected in that form, or at least if it is collected, it's not routinely or ever, in fact, published unless you ask under freedom of information or go cross-checking any court documents you can with the addresses given for the defendants, and then see that the address is actually a migrant hotel. So in other words, the government makes it very, very difficult for reporters to actually cast any light on this. They would much rather tell you how many crimes have been committed by foreign nationals, but not tell you what the immigration status is of those foreign nationals. Of course, the UK has plenty of foreign nationals who are not actually asylum seekers living in migrant hotels. So it's great that journalists are plugging away on this. It's something that we've tried to do a lot over the last year on Talk. We've had a lot of help from a brilliant guy called Tony Tucker, who puts in endless freedom of information requests to different police forces. And that is one of the ways that you can actually tease out these statistics. And they're truly frightening. You know, I've seen those FOI replies, and, you know, the scale of this is absolutely off the chart. And that's only, you know, what is being recorded. There's an awful lot more, I'm sure, that goes on that never actually gets as far as to police.
And at one hotel in London, in the Barbican, it's called the Thistle Hotel, I remember when it was a rather nice hotel. They used to have kind of quite posh showbiz functions there that I've attended. But anyway, the Thistle Hotel in London's Barbican, quite a nice area, is now home to a load of asylum seekers and is a real crime hotspot. It's a one hotel crime wave. 41 asylum seekers there staying at the Thistle Hotel in the Barbican have been accused of crimes including sexual assault, arson, theft, burglary, carrying knives, violent assault and drug offences. This is one hotel, 41 asylum seekers. The Sun on Friday published a story saying that their research indicated that in the first 6 months of this year, 339 asylum seekers have been charged or accused of serious crimes. This is spiralling, and it isn't surprising, Isabel, because what we do is thousands of young men that we know nothing about pitch up on our south coast, and we just let them in, put them in hotels and say, do what the hell you like. And guess what? It turns out some of them aren't very nice people. By the law of averages, you're always going to get some of these people would commit crimes. Now, the statistics are rising alarmingly in terms of sex crimes. And these people come from cultures with very different sexual attitudes to ours. That's the problem.
It absolutely is. And you know, there is such a veil of secrecy over how these individuals are behaving behind closed doors in these migrant hotels, for which the British taxpayer is forking out vast sums of money. You know that everybody who goes to work inside those migrant hotels has to sign confidentiality contracts. You know, companies like Serco that operate these hotels, that manage them, put the fear of God, frankly, into the generally not particularly well-paid staff who are forced to deal with these migrants, cleaners and so on, the mess that they make, the disrespect that they show, the kind of behaviours that's going on in bedrooms there. I mean, again, I've spoken to a cleaner who worked inside one of these hotels, absolutely horrific stories of what is witnessed there. But this stuff doesn't get out into the public domain because the staff that work in these hotels are gagged. I look forward to the day when someone manages to get in there and expose what's going on. Perhaps someone's going to be brave enough to leave a job there and come and talk to us on this radio station about what's really going on. Because trust me, we don't know the half of it. I think the mind boggles.
I'm not saying anything, Isabel, but the audience might want to tune in tomorrow night. You never know what might crop up on our schedule tomorrow. What I would say to all of these workers who are working in these hotels who've signed these non-disclosure agreements, you know, NDAs, if you say anything, you'll be taken to court. Don't worry about them. Chuck them in the bin. They have no strength legally whatsoever. Say what you like. They're against British law. So don't worry about these ridiculous documents that your worried employers get you to sign. If you want to say anything, say something, and they can't do anything about it. It's just a scare tactic. NDAs, they're just toilet paper that lawyers issue. Seriously, don't worry about them.